to be with us on the broadcast. Chris, you heard Rafal Grossi there. There are concerns not just of nuclear facilities. There are lives being lost on all sides. There are concerns of this becoming a wider regional war, which it already has, but further deepening as well. How do you see this moving forward, considering the fact that, look, the objectives, the aims of America and Israel at the moment are not really clearly spelled out by either side?
Yeah, you're right to point that out. Like, where is this conflict going? Like last year, we saw there was a major effort to sort of neutralize the nuclear program. But I think Trump has mentioned that he does want to see regime change in Iran. However, we know what we know what President Trump is like and whether he's got the sort of the stomach. If this was to become sort of a Syrian situation where it drags out over years, I don't think Trump will want to see this dragging out even months, to be fair. So it's what are the actual objectives of Israel and the US? And I think they haven't said it completely clearly, but I think this is the end game for Iran. I think they're trying to bring down the regime and have a change in government. So the IAEA, I think, will be waiting for that process to take place and then to deal with the aftermath, to be quite honest.
With me, I'm going to come back to this question of whether it's just about regime change or there are more objectives to this entire attack. Stay with me. Let's also tell our viewers how Iran and Iran-backed groups have fired missiles at Israel and Arab states, apparently hitting the U.S. embassy compound in Kuwait today. Remember, this comes as Israel and the U.S. pounded targets in Iran even as the war intensifies for the third consecutive day. These are the images, the visuals of smoke rising from the vicinity of the U.S. Embassy today in Kuwait City. This is the very compound where the U.S. Embassy is located. Reports suggest that an alarm was heard after the Iranian attack, which came shortly after the U.S. issued a warning to Americans in the area to take cover and for others to stay away. There were no immediate reports of damage or casualties. But remember, this comes after the Kuwait Defense Ministry said that several American warplanes crashed in Kuwait. These are the images of a military aircraft falling from the sky in Kuwait's Al Jahra area. It is accompanied by a parachuting pilot following the strikes. The plane was flying over Kuwait at the time of the strike. There you can see in those visuals where the pilot parachuted himself down. Meanwhile, Iranian state media reports the number of downed American fighter jets has reached 3, but the U.S. CENTCOM says that 3 U.S. warplanes have been mistakenly shot down by Kuwait's air defenses and not Iran. It says the incident that occurred during active fighting, which included Iranian attacks as well. The Kuwait ministry has not elaborated on what caused the crashes or how many aircraft have been involved, but said that the pilots have been taken to a hospital and are in a stable condition. Earlier, remember, U.S. President Donald Trump said that 3 American service members have been killed and 5 others have been seriously wounded during the U.S. attacks on Iran. However, he fell short of disclosing the location. Let me go back to Chris Blackburn. Chris, there are concerns on all sides, whether it's, the number of casualties or the damage that is being suffered. But prior to this, we were talking about the objectives of why America and Israel attacked Iran at the moment. Would you agree with experts around the world who, many of them think that perhaps energy security is at the heart of this entire conflict?
Yeah, I think energy does play a major part of it, but I also think it's the Israelis and a lot of Western governments do think that the Iranian nuclear program isn't going to be used for mainly peaceful purposes, and that it does see Iran as an existential threat. And we've seen obviously the conflict last year, where Iran used the Houthis, it used the Hezbollah, Hamas, other groups to cause devastation in the region. So Iran's behavior in itself, so it's not just the nuclear, it's not just the energy, it's the destabilizing effect that Iran has on the region. And that's something that I think everybody can agree on. Like, Iran is just a destabilizing force. So I think the Israelis and the United States want to finally bring an end to the regime. So as I mentioned earlier, it depends on how that actually happens. And we've seen a decapitation of the leadership in Tehran. Will there be a more moderate movement that comes up, or will it be a complete change in the administration? We just don't know yet. But I think those will be the questions we see sort of in the next sort of months going ahead. But I think at the minute now, like they did last year, we're seeing what is almost a sort of air superiority by the Israelis and the Americans. And I think the widening of the conflict will obviously end up. We can't predict the future, but we do know that this is going to get worse. It's going to escalate.
All right, we'll have to wait and see how this moves forward. For now, of course, no let-up from any of the sides that are involved. Chris Blackburn, thank you very much for joining us on WION and sharing your perspective.